I'm Austin Hall with Permiso Security. We're here because identity has become the attack surface no one's watching closely enough, and threat actors know it. In nearly every breach we investigate, attackers don't need exploits. They use legitimate access, credentials, roles, and sessions. Things your team has already approved. Permiso is built to expose that kind of misuse at the identity level before it escalates. Let's start with the facts. 86% of breaches now involve credentials. Attackers aren't breaking in, they're logging in. They leverage what your users already have: federated access, stale accounts, abandoned tokens. And once they're in, they sit there for an average of 292 days, 30% longer than malware-based breaches, undetected, pivoting and escalating. And yes, even with MFA and IAM policies in place. Nearly 2/3 of organizations that have already invested in IAM controls still report identity-related breaches. Why? Because the tools weren't built to detect post-authentication abuse. They weren't built to see what happens after someone gets in. Identity is the new perimeter, and your perimeter is wide open. We've walked into some of the most advanced security programs in the world, and even they can't answer the most basic identity questions. Could you show me a list of all identities, human, machine, AI, that have standing admin access in production? Overprivilege is rampant. Most identities use less than half of what they've been entitled and still have broad access. Old accounts linger, especially from vendors and former employees. Access revocation SLAs get missed, and identity sprawl outpaces visibility tools. The gaps aren't due to negligence, they're systemic, and adversaries know exactly how to exploit them. This isn't a skill gap, it's a visibility gap. Let's map this to your org, because here's where it really gets interesting. For IAM teams, they don't have a unified view of all identity types: human, non-human, AI. Their visibility is siloed, coverage is partial, ownership unclear. That makes proactive remediation impossible. For SOC teams, it's even worse. They can't ingest and correlate identity behavior in real time. Their detections are limited to what their SIEM or XDR shows them. They don't have the identity telemetry needed to understand what's normal and malicious. The end result? Missed signals, increased time to detect and respond. Identity breach dwell times are measured in months. What people are doing right now is trying to go out and solve this. What they're finding is the market is fragmented. You have everyone selling their version of identity security. The breach path runs through gaps between teams, not just gaps in tooling. You've probably seen half a dozen solutions trying to pitch identity security, but what's really happening under the hood? Fragmentation. One solution handles IDP, one covers SaaS, one does posture, another claims behavior. None of them speak the same language. There's no shared graph, no unified context. Tools can't correlate what's happening across layers, and security teams, split across IAM, cloud, and threat detection, are forced to stitch things together manually. And when an attacker jumps from a SaaS token to an AWS console session to an on-prem account, that movement disappears. There's no continuity, and that's exactly how breaches go undetected. Everyone's solving a part of the problem, and that's why no one's solving the whole problem. Permiso wasn't founded by marketers chasing a buzzword. It was built by the people who were called in after your worst day. Our founders drove global breach response at Mandiant and FireEye. They investigated the most complex identity-based intrusions, often with no tools that could tell the full story. What they realized was this: nearly every major breach started with identity abuse, and existing systems had no way to track what was really happening. So they built a platform from the ground up, designed specifically to detect and respond to identity-based threats in real time. Permiso is built by responders, not theorists. The Permiso platform tackles identity security at the root. First, it maps every identity in your environment, federated and non-federated, across IDPs, cloud, SaaS, and on-prem. That visibility closes the blind spots IAM and SOC teams have struggled with for years. Then it applies risk logic to reduce exposure. Who has what access? Who shouldn't? Which identities are over-provisioned or unmonitored? By tying entitlements directly to behavior, we help teams prioritize what actually reduces risk, cutting wasted effort and driving measurable efficiencies in remediation. And finally, it defends in real time, using behavioral analytics to detect abnormal activity while it's happening. That shrinks attacker dwell time, reduces the cost of incidents, and delivers stronger ROI by consolidating what would otherwise take multiple point tools. All these pillars rely on the Universal Identity Graph. The Universal Identity Graph stitches together every identity, human, non-human, vendor, AI, to show exactly who has what access, what they can do, and how they behave in real time. It maps entitlements, blast radius, and activity into a single living view, so teams can finally see who is doing what, where, and with what level of risk. As a part of the platform, Discover, Protect, and Defend don't just provide visibility, they accelerate risk reduction, drive operational efficiency, and deliver ROI that executives can point to. The platform connects it all, starting with Discover, full visibility into every identity. Permiso Discover gives you a complete inventory of all identities in your environment. A lot of other tools just collect logs. The Identity Graph connects Okta sessions, AWS roles, SaaS usage, ephemeral tokens, all the things that attackers exploit and teams miss. If someone asked today, who is this identity? What did they access? Where did they go? Could you answer? The average individual has 9 identities, present in multiple environments. When an employee leaves, visibility into what they had access to is key. Once we have the lay of the land, what do we do about it? Permiso Protect constantly scans your environment for posture risks. Things like stale accounts, unmanaged tokens, broad entitlements, or missing MFA. But more importantly, we tie those misconfigurations to real-world behavior. That means we can tell you which risks are theoretical and which are actively being exploited or abused. But what matters is prioritization. We turn data into information and highlight risk, identifying blast radius and showing you which identities are most likely to be exploited and which risks matter today. Remediation is focused and actionable, mapped to compliance frameworks, but also real attack paths. Posture doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be defensible. Permiso Defend is what really sets us apart. Permiso correlates behavior across the cloud, SaaS, and identity systems to detect compromise as it happens. We observe all identity behavior, logins, session pivots, data access, and surface anomalies that indicate account takeover, insider abuse, or lateral movement. Our detection library is built by P0 Labs, our internal research team. The labs team is constantly creating new signals based on what they see in the wild, continuously enriching the platform. These are the same researchers who built detections from the most advanced adversaries out there. We avoid alert fatigue by chaining together identity behavior and evaluating that against threat actor tactics, providing a low number of high-fidelity alerts. You're getting a precise signal that someone just used a token to hijack a session, and what happened next across all your environments in real time. Most tools tell you what happened. We tell you what's happening right now. Identity risk doesn't discriminate. We're protecting environments in critical infrastructure, healthcare, financial services, hospitality, and more. The names vary, but the pattern doesn't. Overprivileged identities, lack of correlation, delayed detection. It's the same set of problems, just in different wrappers. Identity abuse is a universal problem, and we're solving it across industries. Our deployment is fast, no agents. Within 30 minutes, you're live and ingesting data, already pulling value from what you couldn't see before. Week 1, a full identity inventory. Week 2, prioritized risk findings. Week 3, real-time detections on live activity. Week 4, a clear deliverable your team can act on. Everything is structured to show value fast and surface risk your current tools miss. That's why security leaders use our POV as an executive proof point. It quantifies efficiency, risk reduction, and ROI in black and white. we're seeing 200% gains in investigation efficiency, 30% cuts in wasted tooling spend, and a platform approach that drives stronger ROI than stitching together point solutions ever could. You'll know within days whether this fundamentally changes how you see your environment. If you're ready to see what this looks like in your world, connect with us at permiso.io.